Welcome to It's a Broker Thing podcast, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. Each episode will dive into market updates, practical insights and real stories for brokers who want to stay ahead, build stronger relationships and grow their business. Let's dive in. What if the biggest threat to your future clients wasn't interest rates rising? What if it was a lack of financial education long before they ever walked into your office? Today we'll be talking about the importance of financial literacy education for young Australians, the powerful role brokers can play in this, and the impact that they could have on the next generation of borrowers, your future clients. I'm your host, Tony McRae, and today I'm joined by Victoria Costa and Beth Comino, founders of Financial Literacy Education Australia. Ladies, welcome to It's a Broker Thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, I would normally be talking with you guys about either the home affordability scheme or credit fix, but today we're talking about something completely different. It's the Financial Independence Training Solutions Program. So for those that haven't come across this, tell us a little bit about it and why it came about.
Yeah. Okay. So FIT Solutions, or Financial Independence Training Solutions, was really a brainchild of Victoria and mine. It started probably about 2 years ago. So you're right. I'm working in home affordability solutions. Victoria's with credit fix solutions. We're both seeing adults that are having challenges with, in my case, deposits. In Victoria's case, it's credit reporting. So 2 years ago, we came together and went, well, why don't we actually go to the cause of this, the root cause, and, get to them earlier rather than later, because we're having to fix the problem when it's too late, right? So we came together and went, let's see if we can get into the schools and teach the kids earlier rather than later.
Which was then the next mission. So mission accepted. We got into Beth's old school. She wasn't very happy with being called an old girl.
No, I was an old girl.
Old girl, but that's okay. We'll take it. Been in industry for a long time. And the feedback was incredible. That was 2024. And all the teachers, in fact, were in the same room. So we had 120 Year 10 students in the room with us. And, 12, 15 teachers standing up the back because they wanted to listen in too.
Yeah.
And they all came running up to us after this saying, this is fantastic. We need this in every single school. You have to come back next year. So 2025 rolls in and the head office for that group of 18 independent Anglican schools said, look, let's roll this out across all of our schools. So in 2025, Beth and I went back and we got into 6 or 7 schools. By the end of term 4, we were exhausted. Then the question is how do we get this out there further? And Beth said, well, brokers.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2026 rolling it out with the help of Bluestone as well, which is fantastic.
Fantastic. So let me just we'll jump into how it's all working and what the highlights and war stories are. But if I just go back pre-2024, was there a moment where you sort of had this, this is a real gap that we need to address?
I think I've always seen it, to be honest. So when I was very young, I did this course. It was actually with a church program, and it was on budgeting. And one of my friends that was in the program could not get his head around it at all, right? And he goes, I'm doing the math best, and it's still not adding up. And I went, all right, let's sit down and we'll go through it together. Now, he was spending twice as much as he was earning and still couldn't figure that out, right? So that was 20 plus years ago that I was having that conversation. Obviously, we sat down and went, all right, well, what should you not be buying right now? He worked in clothing and spent all of his money on clothing. So income was going out before it was even received, right? But I saw it back then. And then same with my kids in school, like just having those conversations with them where they understood it because, my husband and I have the conversations all the time. But, I just remember one of them coming home saying, my friend doesn't know what a credit card is. He thinks money just comes out of the bank and that's it. And to me, I'm just thinking, what do you mean? Like, who's having these conversations? And it's always been a bit faux pas to have the finance conversations at home as well. Like, I was raised with, you don't talk about money, you don't talk about bringing up your salary, and, there's the right place and the wrong place to say that. But I think it's actually gone the full extreme where no one's talking about money at all.
Yeah, sure. And it doesn't help that you can roll forward 20 years and your example, we've now voted into Parliament to run the country.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I remember when I was 18, I said to my dad, Dad, what's a mortgage? And he said, oh, you don't need to worry about that, Vicky. Your husband will organise that. And I was like, well, I'm still waiting and I'm 47. So I'm still organising everything. But it's within the family. So part of this program is that we're sharing information of what the children have learnt back to the families. And hopefully they will start having more conversations around the dinner table and giving them questions that they can share at home across the dinner table together to start talking about it.
And
so
normalize it.
Yeah.
And not to have shame around it. There's a lot of shame around money, right? So when we are talking to the kids, it's actually instilling hope into them and going, there is a way, there is a way forward, rather than, oh, I'm seeing all the headlines, so I'll never be able to buy a house, or I'll never be able to do this. So it's giving them hope and giving them the tools to actually get there as well.
Sure. So you've been doing this a couple of years now in the schools.
Yeah.
What's the standout gap in young Australians' knowledge around finance?
I'd say the standout gap is what Beth just mentioned, which was, the bank's just going to give me money. Credit cards, just money. Another standout is not understanding how to budget what they've got. A lot of these 15 and 16-year-olds that we've been teaching, they have jobs, but they're going to Macca's across the road at lunchtime and spending it all, or going online and spending it all on Mecca and Temu. And we teach them a way of getting to, how can I save $8,000 by year 12 to buy a used car, say if mum and dad can't chip in. And all of a sudden we go from, I've got no money, to, I can save $8,000 in 2 years. And you see that light bulb moment go off. Even the cheeky ones, even the ones that you think aren't listening, when you throw a question at them, what's your budget and how much savings have you got? They're completing the activities. And by the end of the half day, the biggest standout for me, because we got feedback from all the students, was over 95% said that this should be taught in all schools at 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah, and I remember when I was at school, and you're scratching your head, so can you remember back that far?
Yeah.
But I do.
Old girl over here.
I remember, and it was never talked about. It was never taught. And then and I came from a family which wasn't in the financial space at all, and so
you've had to learn
you
on
jump
the road.
and I lived for the first number of years basically paycheck to paycheck with no vision of how I get ahead.
Well, I think also with the kids, a lot of them said, oh, that's something to worry about when you're older. So when you move out of home. So that aha moment really was, yes, I can save for a car, but I can start today rather than worrying about it in 2-4 years' time. Because a lot of them are just going, well, mum and dad will help me out. And mum and dad may not be able to help them out. So it's really fun to see that, right? The kids
really,
going,
really fun.
I can actually do something today. This is relevant for me as well. Like Vic said, they're getting jobs. So 15, 16-year-olds are starting to work. They're getting their license, so they want to have a car. They want that independence. And then you've got those kids that leave school after year 10 as well. So it's really just setting them up for success.
Yeah. So before we jump into the role various parts of the industry can play in this program, I opened up with the question, what if the biggest issue in the future is the financial knowledge of clients that haven't come in front of you? I think that resonates with brokers. What can they do to help educate their customers?
Well, they're doing it anyway. That's what's happening. So a lot of the brokers are out there supporting their clients that haven't been given these basic skills, right? So the whole idea of this was, well, let's get the brokers in front of the kids now, right? So Victoria and I cannot physically go into every single school as much as we would love to.
I don't know about love, but
like the idea of that. But there's an opportunity here for brokers to get in front of these kids earlier, right? We've spoken to so many brokers that have said they wanted to do something, didn't know where to start. So here's this opportunity where they don't have to think about what to teach the kids. We've got the curriculum, so we actually worked with the teachers, with the students to fine-tune the curriculum as well, so the kids will actually engage, because it can be a dry topic. Mm-hmm. I wear bright colours, I do this and everything, but it's still maths when you come down to it. And it's how do you put it into practical terms for the kids that they actually will engage as well. So, we saw that opportunity for the brokers to come out, go into the schools. We organise the schools as well. But it's a great way for them to be seen as the trusted finance support within their local community.
And build on that, right? It's not just about this year, it's going back next year and building on that. Every single Year 10 cohort coming through, maybe there's room for development for programs for Year 11, Year 12. And the teachers themselves, when we went to these schools, because teachers, they go to school, they go to uni, and then they go back to school. They don't have any financial literacy knowledge. So that whole teaching community needs support as well.
Well, and having talked to the schools, there are programs out there, right? But what they are is a program where they need to download the content, the teachers need to learn it themselves, and then teach the kids, right? By putting industry experts into the school and actually teaching stuff that they do every day, takes the guesswork out of it for the teachers as well, and it just made sense.
And it fills up year 10 term 4, and teachers, after exams,
they love it.
They're like, oh my God, we need this now, and it fills up a whole day almost.
We've played enough videos in the classroom.
100%. Something the kids that they'll enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. So FY25, you said you did, was it 18 or 24 of these? And you guys have got day jobs. So, that would have been a huge burden. So you're branching out now. And I think lots of listeners are probably going, hey, I get this and it makes sense. Yeah. But how do I help? How do I get involved? So how can brokers, lenders or BDMs get involved in this?
Well, we're seeing this as one industry helping the mortgage industry get out there for mortgage brokers, being one voice and one message is that we are here to help. We're not just sitting here waiting to write your home loan. We want to be actively part of our communities. So the support we're looking for, brokers reach out through the website, find Beth and I on LinkedIn. We're happy to have a conversation. But yeah, you're right. Aggregator groups, we've already got some sponsor partners, yourselves included. And it is about, we are trying to give out the same one message, that we're working together as an industry, and it spotlights the mortgage industry for what it really is. Brokers are some of the most empathetic, sympathetic, helpful people I've ever met in my life. They'll go to so many lengths to help people buy a home, a car, and so they are a perfect fit to teach at schools.
And we've got some of our BDMs involved in it, and
which is fabulous.
Yeah,
and
Bluestone are absolutely delighted to be a foundation partner along with the FBAA. And I kind of reflect back. Joanna James from the FBAA set me up. She invited me to an awards night, and
she did.
And no knowledge, no communication. She said, "I got a couple of people you've got to meet at these awards nights."
Both up,
right next to Beth.
And sitting there at the awards night, and you guys are into my ear, this great idea, and we caught up afterwards. But it just made so much sense when you put it to me.
And you trusted it when it was a pilot, where Beth and I were saying, and FBAA as well, we're so grateful because we said, we're going to do this. And then we got to February when school started and we were like, okay, are we going to get this done? Like I was in charge of calling schools. Beth's been in charge of organising the brokers. I've never spoken to a school other than my kids' school before. And I've probably sent out about 6,000 emails, but our target was 100 brokers and 50 schools by July, so we can get everyone into term 4. We've already hit that in mid-April. I've got 46 schools and we've got 100 brokers.
Our initial target for brokers was 50. We wanted to have 50 educators going out. We hit that 50 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So for us, we were like, well, it's a no-brainer. We need to expand that. We still want to keep it small so that, as we grow, we can keep an eye on it. So 100 just seemed like a good number, but it's insane how quickly it's filled up. And, we're sending the brokers out in pairs. Very important that they go in pairs because you've got 120 kids, right? It's a half-day program. It's way too much for one person to be delivering. So when you've got a broker by themselves, this is when the Bluestone BDMs are just amazing because we can instantly pair them with that broker and you've already got the support right there. And so many of your BDMs put their hand up straight away.
Yeah, it was really it was really nice. We had an offsite earlier in the year and Victoria came out and presented it and we had a queue of people afterwards wanting to get involved. But what I love as well is that we've had some brokers that have put their hand up and said, I want this particular Bluestone BDM to do this with me, which is
they've
which
been
is
called
wonderful.
out, which is testament to your BDMs, right? Because they've obviously got the relationship. They're obviously feeling comfortable with them already. It's like when I'd asked one of those brokers, who would you like to be paired with? Do you know anyone? It was instantly a named BDM straight away. That's who I want to be with. And he's like, I know him. I get on well with him. That would be brilliant. So so good.
So it's heartwarming to see the industry, rallying behind something that they don't have to, but they're really keen and they see the value in providing this service.
Well, it just shows how big a need there is for it, right? We've had so many conversations with aggregators, with the brokers, and like rarely, I reckon maybe 1% go, no, that's not for me, and it's just timing more than anything, right? But most people are instantly, yep, I'm on board. This needs to happen, which is just fabulous.
It's brilliant. And most brokers are like, I've been looking for something like this for years. So what we've provided is that really easy, just jump into a vehicle and off you go. You just need to learn your modules, be at the school on the day, right? Because it's taken all the guesswork out of it. And also getting into schools is not easy. Receptionists are the most amazing guard dogs I've ever tried to get through. And I've been cold calling for 30 plus years. No, good on them. I'd hire them any day of the week. But it's very difficult to get through to schools, which I understand from a broker's perspective. And as Beth said, what's the content? How do I make it engaging? We've spent 2 years on getting this to a point where it works in front of teenagers.
So let's talk about the modules and the sorts of things that you cover in the half day.
So it's a 4-period type plan, or 3 periods if they have the 1-hour periods for public schools. Runs from the start of the day to lunchtime, and we go in, or the brokers are going in, and firstly they're introducing themselves, just first name basis only. We can't be flashing around business cards and product flogging. And then they're talking a little bit about, who they are and what they do, but then leaning into mental health and money. And if we look at the current stats in Australia, there's about half of our youth who are experiencing anxiety directly related to money. One of the reasons why we need to do this as well is we need to drop that. That's just not good enough. And then they veer into savings and interest and, what is my interest rate on my savings account? And a lot of them have their savings account and they've got no idea. So we're working table to table and asking questions of being interactive. And then we flip that on its head and talk about what does interest look like when it comes to a loan? What if I get a car loan?
Or a credit card.
Or a credit card, which is not just money that the bank gives you. And then we switch into budgeting So it's a really fun interactive exercise that they do at groups, at tables. They have a chat amongst each other. We walk around the tables and talk to them. It's 50, 30, 20 rule. And then we go into that, okay, how long is it going to take me to buy an $8,000 car in year 12? Because mum and dad can't chip in. But then turning into, okay, what does my budgeting look like as a young adult? I'm now working. We all use the same example, so everybody's on the same page. I'm 21, I'm sharing a flat with my friend and going through what budgeting looks like at that stage. And then after the break, it's credit reporting.
Credit reporting. So,
which is,
credit reporting.
For me, 15 years I've been in credit repair now for 12 years. 80% of it I can't fix. So I'm literally just educating 80% of the time. And there comes a point in your career where you just say, this needs to stop. And that's why this opportunity was such a blessing a couple of years ago, because I now have the opportunity to do what I've wanted to do for years, which is just stop it. Kids shopping around online for loans, not understanding that completely trashes their score. And that's a 5-year history. Getting phone plans, gas, electricity when they leave home, and not realizing the impact of missing that one bill, which means you're defaulted, and again is 5 years, and stopping their wealth creation journey. And then after credit reporting, it's the mortgages.
So really highlight what the role of a mortgage broker is in that, and then we simplify the mortgage process for them. So I'm sure a lot of brokers deal with clients that don't understand the implications of if you change a job during your, application process or probation, all that sort of stuff, credit cards versus personal loans. So we put up just a scenario, one person, this is what they look like, and we go through helpful or harmful. We really simplify it down for the kids. Ask them, this is Sophie. I think she was 27 in the scenario. And I asked, helpful or harmful? And they all said harmful. And I went, okay, why? Why do we think that's harmful? And it was purely, she's too young, she doesn't understand. And so then you get to elaborate on that and go, all right, well, how long does an average mortgage last for? 30 years? Will she still be working at 57? So you can sort of expand it on that. So it's really getting them to think about it rather than just giving them a sheet and filling it out, right? And then superannuation. Really high level, what is super? When you get a job, don't just tick that box that says, I'll take on the employer's superannuation fund. And getting them to understand that they can have an account today as a 15-year-old. They don't have to wait until they get a job. Little things like that. It's good.
And then a quiz at the end with some chocolate and lolly giveaways.
Chocolates and lollies always.
At the end. Always at the end.
Yeah. Never first thing in the morning.
Send them back to the teachers full of sugar.
Just like grandparents, right? Just sugar them up and then send them back.
Absolutely. So brokers and BDMs, they're used to dealing with each other, dealing with customers, standing up in front of other groups of people. 15, 16-year-olds is a new, different kettle of fish. So what sort of support are you guys providing for the brokers and BDMs that have volunteered for this?
So you're right. And that's actually probably the first conversation I have with all the brokers that have signed up, going, look, I'm comfortable in front of adults, maybe not in front of teenagers. So we train all the educators monthly via Zoom. So it's not just, here's the curriculum, good luck. It's, all right, these are the kinds of questions that you're going to get. These are the kinds of interactions you're going to get with these kids. This is how, between the two of you, you can actually, handle the classroom. We had kids in one class that it looked like they weren't listening, right? It was... I call it the rat bag table. Gorgeous boys right in the front, and it looked like they weren't listening. But everyone else was engaged, more or less. And then you'd ask these guys a question and they could answer the question straight away. So they were listening. So it's sort of trying not to take offense. Like these aren't adults that are trained to sit, like even adults find it difficult to sit still.
Even
at
a PD
long.
day, right?
Well, you've got the advantage that most classes now don't allow phones, where they don't have that at PD days.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a plus.
And that's a good point as well. Understanding to tell all the students to have their laptops closed will tell you when to open the laptop. right? These things that Beth and I have made mistakes with and learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be, tattooing their arms, or they're, making a origami swan. But that's okay, because we're not teachers. We're not there to go, you need to stop. And, the teachers are there and they're supervising, so they're in the room with you.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you guys have been up there in front of the classes doing that. You must have some a story where you've just had a real impact and you felt, hey, we got through, I made a difference there.
Yeah, we got some video feedback and also about 273 odd surveys back from the students. And the feedback was just amazing. One young lady, she actually said on her video testimonial, she said, I'm going straight home to mum and dad and I'm going to talk to them about buying a house because I thought we could only ever rent.
Wow.
It just gives you goosebumps. And even if only 5 take it on in a school group, that's 5 families where you've completely broken that cycle, which has been happening for generations, right? We've all left school. It's like leaving school and someone giving you a set of keys and saying, here, go drive the car. We don't do that. We give them lessons. They pass a test. So now this is kind of like that learning curve that we all need.
Well, even just I didn't realize how simple it was to save money, which is such a, blanket comment, but they have savings accounts, but they're not using them, right? So a lot of them were saying, I'm going to go home and have a look at what my interest rate is, see if there's any, bonus interest, penalty fees, that sort of stuff.
I'm going to go home and get mum to check her credit report, because they don't have one yet. They're
or
really
even,
interested.
I'm going to ask mum how much she spends on groceries a week. So just sort of getting involved in that conversation. I think for me, one of the biggest things was the amount of questions in relation to their parents. So there's a real worry and a concern for mum and dad. Mum and dad might not be having these conversations with the kids, but they can definitely feel it and they're seeing it, right? So it was quite, shocking to hear the questions, to go, all right, but what happens if mum can't pay her mortgage? What happens if this happens? And really just, you could see them spiraling almost in the what if, does this land on me? And, we had to turn it around and go, this is exactly why we're doing this.
Sure.
We want you to understand. We don't want you to be fearful of money. There were some schools where the thought of spending money was horrible, right? So we went in a well-off area and we went into a not so well-off area. The well-off area, you ask them, how much money do you set aside for, savings or spending? And the comment was, well, mum just buys me whatever I want. Which is great, but that's not long-term, right? They're not learning anything from that. Whereas in the not so well off area, it was, oh no, I just save all my money. And it was, it just sits there. And there was this fear of, but I can't spend my money because what if I need it? So it's really getting them comfortable with the budgeting, not being afraid of bills. Bills shouldn't be scary when they arrive in the mail. It is for a lot of people. And it's purely because they haven't budgeted for it. So just setting that money aside and getting your head around that and understanding that just takes that pressure off instantly.
Yeah.
And you're still spending the same amount of money.
Absolutely. Knowledge, understanding, and foresight's such a valuable thing.
Absolutely.
We roll 10 years into the future.
Yeah.
What sort of legacy impact would you like to reflect back on having?
Good
For
question.
me, great question. For me, the dream is that all kids get this as a course at school, and that the next generation of clients that mortgage brokers get know the basics. So instead of having to spend 2 hours with a young family explaining everything to do with their budgeting, their bank statements and all the buy now, pay later stuff going on, the state of their credit report and score, they will have educated young people coming into them going, I want to deal with you. I remember you being in my school, right? I'm now mortgage ready. And we want that age to come down, which is now at 37. Average first homeowner age. We want that down. My vision is let's get that back down to 25, 26.
Which it was in the 80s.
Which it was in the 80s, yeah.
And we talk about that with the kids as well, to go, in the 80s, it was closer to a 24, 26, right? Now it's 37. So it jumped a year, like an extra year over the last 12 months. So I need to have a look at the stats for this year. But yeah, really simplifying that process for the brokers, the amount of clients that they get and they can't help then and there, come back in 6 months' time or, whatever. It's you've got clients that understand, you're not having to educate them from the get-go. It's you're there to support them and find the right loan for them and support them.
Guys, this is such a wonderful initiative. You guys should be really proud of founding it and establishing it. Bluestone is really proud to be part of this journey. We've run out of time, but I'd love to get you back on the podcast and talk more about this year's experience in the schools and how that works. So thank you very much for joining us on It's a Broker Thing. And I think the whole industry looks forward to hearing how this initiative moves forward in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony.
And thank you for joining us on another episode of It's a Broker Thing. So please subscribe or join the Bluestone community for more information and insights. So until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye now. That's a wrap of this episode of It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. We love sharing ideas that help you stay ahead because backing brokers, well, it's a Bluestone thing. Hit subscribe and join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you in the know. This podcast is for general education only and isn't financial, legal or tax advice. Guest views are their own. Bluestone accepts no liability for errors or how you use this information.